If you are straight out of university or, 1 to 2 years since you graduated and you still don't know exactly what you want to do with your career, don't panic. You're not alone. There are many people like you, but you need to act quickly, okay? We need to start moving in a direction where we know the end goal, okay? When I was in university, it was the last year of my degree, and I was in a class where we had a lady come in and talk about career paths, okay? And there was it wasn't a tutorial, it was a lecture. Okay, so we had about maybe 50 odd people in this classroom. Went around the room, or the lady asked, to go literally around the room and everybody say what they wanted to get into. You know what I mean? What they wanted to get into past their degree. Okay. Now you'd think 50 people talking one at a time was going to take like an hour or so. Anyways, it was a pretty quick process, uh, because literally speaking, maybe 5 people knew what they wanted to do with their career. Okay. And I remember thinking to myself, look, I'm not a judgmental person or anything like that. I genuinely I understand everybody's different. And look, for me personally, I kind of worked out my dream career from not a fluke, but from something that I had a passion in when I was young. And I realized that passion can be quite unique for a lot of people. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. But I remember sitting there and thinking that as well with this lady, she didn't say to you didn't even have to give a specific job. Like you didn't have to be like, I knew I wanted to become a psychologist or I wanted to become a sports marketing agent owner, whatever it is. Like, you know what I mean? You didn't have to give a specific job. She literally said, like, if you could just give me the field that you wanted to work in, you know what I mean? So you could have literally said teaching, and that would have been enough, basically. And I just remember thinking, like, these were people that are like either 3 or 4 years deep into a degree, and they still don't know exactly where they want to be. And that, at the time, it blew my mind. Because I just remember thinking, if you're that far into your degree, surely, you've got some idea as to where you want to go, you know? Now, look, again, no judgments, everybody's different. And I realized, obviously as a recruiter, I've worked in, junior level recruitment and working, with entry level jobs. I'm also a career coach where I do help university students find their dream jobs. If you're keen to learn more, by the way, feel free to click the link below if you're keen to check it out. But yeah, as someone who works in this environment now, and look, I'm not extremely senior either. I'm only 24 years old. But I've realized very, very quickly now that you're not alone in thinking these things. Like there are a lot of people like you, but you should use that as motivation to now get out of that bubble and stand out with your job search. Okay. Reason being, and I genuinely mean this, if you are entry level and you're a university graduate trying to find their first full-time job, if you can sell to the recruiter the idea that you are predictable and reliable, and you can give them the impression that they know what they're going to get with you, you are already doing better than 95% of your competition. I genuinely mean that. Okay. If I'm going in for an entry level role, and I'm a recruiter, sorry, for an entry level role, and I have 200 applicants, okay, everybody has the same degree. Everybody either has the same kind of casual job or something completely irrelevant, which, you're not going to judge somebody based on their casual jobs. Everybody's got that type of background. Give me the guy who knows exactly where he wants to go. He knows exactly the type of job he wants. He knows the exact environment he wants to be in. And he knows precisely where he wants to be in 5, 10 years' time and why this role is the right role for him to grow. And he wants to grow within a company. Give me that type of candidate over the guy who's still trying to figure it all out. Now, there's nothing wrong with the guy who's trying to figure it all out. That's perfectly normal, okay? But when you're hiring somebody, you're not just agreeing to go on a coffee chat with them and it's a one-off thing. This is somebody who's going to be joining a team. He's going to get paid thousands of dollars either a week or fortnightly, whatever the pay is. All right, he's going to be getting paid money, okay, and they're going to be investing time in this guy to succeed, okay. So it is a huge investment for the company, okay. A lot of these companies as well, if they're looking particularly for an entry level role, it's not going to be high pressure, but you are going to be a really important foundation to whatever's going on, particularly if you're in an admin position. It's up to you to kind of keep things organized and stable at the back. You know what I mean? So they need somebody to be that, stability. So it's a huge investment in their time and their money. They want to make sure they're getting this right. Okay? Let me give you guys another tip, all right? Hiring managers and businesses in general hate the recruitment process. They hate the idea of, taking time out of their busy day to interview this candidate. That's why they go through recruiters, so recruiters can filter out the first 90% of it. Okay? They hate the idea, they got to pay the recruiter. They then got to go and do the final interviews themselves. They got to do all these things, all this extra time just to bring in somebody into the company, which is money going out in the short term. You know what I mean? They want to make sure they're getting in the right candidate. So yeah, it's fine. If you don't know what you want to do right here, right now, that's fine. But I really encourage you to try and figure this out as soon as possible so you know specifically where you want to go. And then you can fulfill recruiters with that confidence moving forward. So many times I've seen a candidate tell me, Jonathan, I've spent 6 months in a job search at the moment. I've put out hundreds of applications and I don't get calls back, or I've done 20 interviews and never got a second interview. And I ask them, where do you want to go? They don't know. And I say, look, the issue isn't you. The issue is what you're selling. You're selling uncertainty to these recruiters, okay? It's up to you to give them fulfillment and confidence that they know what they're going to get with you from day one, okay? If you can't sell that, you've lost your biggest asset, especially as an entry-level candidate, because you don't have much else to use to stand out. You know what I mean? So that is hands down one of the most important things you need to consciously be thinking about moving forward with your job search. I promise you, if you can do this, guys, you will stand out and you will be the most attractive candidate out of everybody on that panel, okay? And I promise you this as well, all right? I can't guarantee you that you will get that exact job once you know exactly what you want to do. But what you are going to do is when you go with a recruiter or you're dealing with the hiring manager directly, they're going to like you a lot more than anyone else that they reject if you don't get that particular role. And that will encourage them to keep in touch with you moving forward because they now know exactly what environment you want to be in, And when they know that, once something else comes available, they will make sure that you know about it. That's the benefit of selling certainty to these recruiters, okay? I hope you guys got some value from this video. If you guys did, feel free to click the links below if you'd like to learn more from me. Take care, and I will see you guys in the next episode.